What's up YouTube? So today I have another scary story for you. I found this story on a forum called Darkness Prevails. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the story. So let's begin. The first time that Jenny recalls it happening was back in November 2016. She was awoken by her little sister Willow. Willow begged Jenny to come down from her bed, which was the top half of their bunk bed, and to help Willow because her leg hurt for some reason. At the time, they both didn't know what was causing the pain. Just so you know, right outside their bedroom is a short hallway connecting to the garage and bathroom. The hallway also connects to the kitchen, and the kitchen connects to the living room and dining room. The house didn't have much furniture or belongings, which gave the house a kind of eerie feeling to it. So Jenny gets up to see what's wrong with her little sister. As Jenny starts to climb down the ladder, she turns to check on her little sister. Jenny noticed that Willow was sitting upright on the edge of her bed, which was the bottom half of the bunk bed, and that Willow was facing the closet. Willow's face was pale, like as if she had just seen a ghost. "Run!" Willow shouted, sprinting as fast as she could out of the room. Jenny was puzzled as to why her little sister was so afraid, but she didn't question her and followed right behind her little sister. Jenny followed Willow to the bathroom and shut the door behind her. She queried her little sister, asking her what made her run out of the room, why she's so scared. After a moment of heavy breathing, Willow pulled herself together and explained to Jenny that in the middle of the night she had woken up. She saw a black figure, the size of Jenny, crawling on top of her bed. Jenny remembered that her little brother Tom was sleeping in the living room. She was worried about Tom just in case what Willow was saying was true. So Jenny told Willow to stay in the bathroom and to lock the door behind her while she goes and gets Tom. She runs into the living room where she finds Tom fast asleep. Luckily, whatever that was in the bedroom had not got to him. Just before she could wake Tom up, she starts to hear tapping of bare feet against tile flooring, and the sound is coming from the hallway. Jenny's family owns two cats who were both in the living room at the time, and Jenny was sure that her parents were both asleep in their bedroom. So Jenny could rule out that it was not the cats or her parents that was in her bedroom at the time. So after waking up her little brother Tom, she rushed them both back to the bathroom and shut the door behind them. As they were scared, Jenny decided to take her siblings to her parents' bedroom. Once there, they found both their parents asleep in bed. In her panic state, she wakes up her father and she tells him that some kid has broken into the house. Now, this is not the first time that Jenny has told this story to her father, only to be found out later on that it was all part of her imagination. So unfortunately for Jenny, her father didn't believe her and begged her to let him go back to sleep. So the three siblings decided to go back to the living room to try to sleep for the rest of the night. Days went by and nothing happened, and then months went by and nothing happened. Jenny assumed that her father was right and that it was all part of her and her little sister's imagination. Then it happened again for the second time. It was May 2017. Jenny has just gone into her father's house to stay for summer vacation. While unpacking her stuff, she could see from the corner of her eyes a shadow of a figure floating down the hallway. Because of how quickly it was moving, she could barely make out any of its features. The only thing she could make out was a pair of pale white hands, thanks to the light in the kitchen, as the hallway light was off. Because of the proximity of the hands were floating above the ground, Jenny assumed that the shadowy figure was about the same height as she was. Jenny looked back to the hallway again and thought to herself, that's not right, so she turned the hallway light on just to check. The bathroom light was off, but the door was open, and when she went to check, she found that there was no one there, and the garage door would always make a loud creaking noise when opened. She felt that there was no way around this. The house was starting to creep her out. So Jenny decided to go see Tom in his bedroom. She found Tom playing on his iPad. She asked Tom where Willow and her parents were. Tom replied that they were all in the living room. So Jenny went to check, and there they were in the living room, just as Tom said that they were, and that nobody had been in the hallway. Jenny thought that this was strange and decided to question Willow. What Jenny found out was that she had been completely wrong. Someone or something had been in the hallway, according to Willow. Willow explained, without smiling, that every now and then she could see from the corner of her eyes the shadow of someone or something walking past the door. She could see the shadow behind the door in the door frame. Willow saw the shadow once while in her room, another time while in Tom's room, and another time while in the dining room. Probably the most scariest instance was the one time it was standing in the closet, not moving. During that incident, Willow did not catch it from the corner of her eyes, but instead the entity was standing right in front of her in the light inside the closet. After spending about a minute in that one spot, it apparently just dissolved into the air. Willow described the entity to Jenny. It had black hair, a brown faceless head, and it was about Jenny's size, and white hands. When Jenny heard that it had white hands, it sent a shiver down her spine. Cause indeed she had told Willow about the hallway incident, but she had never mentioned about the white hands to her sister. Again, days passed, then months passed. Then in April of 2018, at the beginning of spring break, Jenny was in the bathroom watching YouTube while brushing her teeth when she heard the sounds of something growling angrily. To Jenny, it sounded like a demonic wolf. She couldn't tell if the sounds were coming from outside the window or from outside the hallway. She thought maybe that sound had come from the YouTube clip that she was watching at the time. So she decided to rewind the video back 10 seconds. Then she pressed play, and there was no growling sound coming from the video. This meant that the growling sound was real. Being a bit scared, she decided to take the broomstick that was in the bathroom and poke it outside into the hallway to see if anyone was there. She felt nothing, nobody was there. She knew at that moment that it had to be the entity. After many hours of researching on Google, she came to the conclusion that it had to be shadow people. You see, shadow people are a lot like ghosts. In fact, the only difference between shadow people and ghosts are in appearance. Unlike ghosts, shadow people don't have many features. They are usually solid in color, most commonly in black, but they are also known to be in different colors. Shadow people also lack facial features, something that this entity also exhibits as well. Jenny questioned why a paranormal entity would be haunting her house. The house only had one previous owner who only lived there for a short period before selling the house. If you've been paying close attention, you notice that I've been mentioning that this thing is about Jenny's height. Jenny noticed that this thing is growing at the same rate that she is, and shadow people don't normally alter their form, let alone grow. It was a scary thought, and Jenny thought why this was the case. She wondered if it was taking her form, trying to make itself look like her. The question is, but why? She was sitting there thinking to herself, and then she realized it had shown itself to Willow more than anyone else. So what if this thing was trying to trick Willow into thinking that it was her? It's a scary thought, and she must question why. Jenny hopes that it's not trying to lure Willow into a false sense of security and do something. She has warned her little sister about this possibility, and she hopes that her little sister will take it seriously. Thinking back, Jenny realized there was another time before 2016 that she might have seen the entity. She can't be certain though, as this could have been just a misunderstanding. One night, back in 2015, Jenny remembers hearing someone walking around in the kitchen. As the sound were coming towards her room, she called out "Dad," but got no answer. She clicked her flashlight on, which was lying next to her bed, and she could see her father's shadow walking past her room behind the door. She never heard the garage door open though. The next day, she asked her father if he had went into the kitchen at midnight. He told her that he was awake at that time. He had gone outside through the sliding doors in the living room and never stepped foot in the kitchen. Jenny knows that there is something living with her family, and she must find out what it wants before it's too late. Well, that comes to the end of today's true story. I found this story on a forum and I thought it was quite interesting. The names have been changed and the story has been altered a little bit. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the story. And if you enjoy listening to real horror stories, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'm going to try to upload new stories every day. Anyway, that's it. Hope you have a nice day.